Hey Scarlett, this is Miss Tracy. I'm going to walk you through this right quick. Alright, so this is the same type of problem that I walked you through last time. It's a distribution problem. So that means we're going to take this fraction and multiply it times this fraction, and then we're going to multiply it times this term. Now we're going to turn this term into a fraction by just putting it over 1, and then that makes it more easily multipliable, and it should help explain the process. So we take this one. Whenever we have a negative sign, we always apply that to the numerator, not the denominator. So that becomes negative ax squared over b. And we're going to multiply that times the first fraction, bax cubed over a squared. And then we're going to bring down our operator, or our operation. And then we're going to take this original fraction and rewrite it. And it's a negative ax squared over b. So you have a negative and a negative right here, right? And we're going to multiply that times 3ax over 1. And that's how you turn a whole number term into a fraction. You just put it over 1, and then you can do your multiplication. All right, so we have negative ax squared. So your variables can never actually be negative. What that is, it's a negative 1 in front of your variables there. Okay, so you always treat it as a separate, the negative is not attached, it's always separate. And you just put a constant of 1 in front of that to denote that. Same thing here, we'll go ahead and put our 1 in so that it's obvious that it is separate from our variables. So negative 1 times positive 1, because you always have a 1 here. There's always an invisible 1. Negative 1 times positive 1, that's going to be a negative 1, right? So we can put negative 1 just to hold that place. We have an a, and remember, if you have an a variable without an exponent, the exponent is 1. So you can go ahead and drop a 1 in there for all those exponents, right? So a to the 1, and you have an a to the 1 here, so it's going to be an a to the 2, because a positive 1 and a positive 1 is a positive 2. We have a b to the 1, so that's just a b. And now we have an x squared and an x cubed. 2 plus 3 is 5, so it's x to the 5, right? Now we do the bottom. And b to the 1 and a squared, that's just going to be a, I like to write it in alphabetical order, so a squared b. Now the first thing I see is that I have a b here and a b here. I can go ahead and eliminate that. I can factor that out. And I have an a square here and an a square here. I can factor that out, okay? So when you get rid of everything on the bottom, what you have left, you always have a numerator, or I'm sorry, a denominator, and that's the number 1. So you just put it over 1. Now we're going to subtract, but we have a negative right here, a negative 1ax squared. I'm sorry. Let's write this. Let's put this parenthesis around this up here so it's easier to see. All right, so we have a negative 1 times 3. So it's going to be a negative 3, right? And then we have an a to the 1 and an a to the 1. That's going to be a squared. And then we have an x to the square and another x to the 1. So it's going to be x cubed. All right, that's on top. So now we do b times 1, and that's going to be b. Okay, so now we need to simplify. So we have a negative 1 over 1 with an x5. So what that ends up being is we can eliminate the 1. We know that's a whole number now because anything over 1 is a whole number. We have negative x5 because negative 1 over 1 is just negative 1, and we usually drop the 1. Now we have a negative and a negative, so it's going to be a positive 3a squared x cubed over b. And that is your final answer.